This is Living Well Women, holistic living for sisters over 40. Happiness is holistic. It's multifaceted. It's physical. It's internal. It's my diet and my emotional state. It's all tied in together. Michelle Obama. This is a show for sisters, about sisters, by me and my sisters, Dr. Dravon James and Keisha Dixon. I am Lynnis Woods-Mullins, and we are Women Living Well.
So good evening, everyone. We are super excited to be here. We are the Women of Living Well Women, and we're so excited to bring this show to you tonight. I'm here with my three lovely co-hosts, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about themselves. We're going to start with Keisha Dixon.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Jackie. Hi, Tanya. I'm Keisha Dixon, creator of the Monetize Your Mind Success System and author of Visibility Vixens for Sisters and White Girls Too. I also have a radio program called What About Me?
And thank you so much. Oh, go ahead, Lynnis.
Sorry about that. My name is Lynnis Woods-Mullins, and I am a holistic living and wellness coach, executive producer of Living Well Women, and talk show host for Wellness Journey Live, and editor and publisher of the Wellness Woman magazine, and also excited to be here tonight. I'm excited for 2019. Yay.
Wonderful. And Miss Renee.
And I am C. Renee Washington, Master Certified Life Coach and the Mindset Maven, creator of the Sister Mind, the Midlife Manifest Sister Mind, and also the Midlife Manifest Facebook group is where you can join me too. And what we are about is manifesting our best lives in this second half of life, the best half of life. And so that's me.
Wonderful. Thank you all for sharing. And of course, I am Dr. Dravon James. I am Dr. Dravon James of Everyday Peace with Dr. Dravon James. Hopefully you are following me on my Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I am an author of Freedom is Your Birthright, a radio personality on the Unity Online radio program. And we are so delighted to be here with you all on Thursday to bring you our Facebook Live show. Super, super excited about that. And we have an exciting topic today. Today we are talking about learning to trust yourself. Woo. If you can't trust you, who can you trust? Right? Who are you trusting if you're not just your earthly trust? We're talking about earthly trust, because of course we all hopefully have some type of relationship with the Creator, and that is the ultimate form of trust. But we're talking about walking on this earth. Who is it that you're putting your trust in first? Who knows you better than you? Who has the answer for your situation better than you have the answer to your situation? Those are some questions that we have to explore. And why? What's going on with us? What is going on with us when we second guess ourselves, right? We do that a lot. There's a phrase my mom and my grandmother used to say was, I should have followed my first mind. Anybody know that phrase?
Yes. I used it. That's my phrase. My first mind. My first right mind.
My first right mind, right? And oftentimes I know the times when I've gotten myself in situations that I wish I was not in. It's all because I looked outside of myself for validation. And when I didn't get it, or when it didn't come quick enough, I followed somebody else's step. And I always stepped wrong. Always step wrong. So learning how to trust ourselves is so very important. So I just want to jump into that. Has anybody other than me found that a lot of times in the past, or maybe currently, you find yourself looking externally for answers that you know you have in your gut?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. All the time. Go ahead, Keisha.
Yeah, absolutely. When people talk to me, they're like, oh my God, you have so much confidence. And I know for my clients too, they're brilliant women. They show up with lots and lots of confidence. But what they don't ask themselves is, what is the cost of self-doubt, right? Because that really is, when you're not trusting your gut, you're doubting yourself, and that will take you out faster than anything else, right? So when you start looking outside of yourself for this validation, ask yourself, what is the cost of that? We've all seen people, all four of us have worked in industries where we can see people and they're kind of like checking in, and you can tell from their posture and the way they check in with everybody that they lack self-esteem. But when you have confidence, or you hide your self-doubts really well, other people can pick up on that too. If not, even if they don't realize they're picking up on it, they can pick up on it energetically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those little self-doubts that play over and over in your head, and there is a cost to it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. It costs you money. What would you be doing if you showed up with twice the confidence? It costs you time. What type of relationship, or would you be in a relationship if you weren't doubting yourself? If you weren't sitting at home and waiting for him to return the text message? What would you be doing instead if you weren't doubting yourself and doubting your value, and if you weren't looking on the outside for this external validation?
Yeah.
And you know what? There's a lot of power in trusting your gut. And I really think, especially women, seasoned women such as ourselves, women over 40 and older, one of the reasons why you should start trusting your gut is because of your total life experience. You've been through some things, you've survived some things, you have accomplished some things. So if you've done it before, why would not the universe support you in doing something else again? I think that the biggest thing between us and being able to trust ourselves is what's between our two ears right here, our brain, and the lies that we tell ourselves. And we have to learn how to silence some of those voices that aren't really true. And I think probably the first step in learning how to trust your gut, even as a seasoned person, is taking that time to just stop and be silent. Because when you're in the midst of trying to make a decision and everything's coming at you at once and everything else, if you don't just stop and allow yourself to be silent so you can hear what you need to do next, then more than likely what you're going to choose is going to be something that might seem expedient from a fleshly perspective, but may not be ultimately what you need to do from a spiritual perspective. So trusting your gut, to me, is all about some of the intangible pieces that you can only get from that intuition that you have, that gut or Holy Spirit, or that inner voice that you have subconsciously that's telling you something maybe totally different than what the conscious level wants to do. I had to learn how to do that. And I didn't really learn how to do it well, intentionally, until I got into this business. I think I did it kind of haphazardly as I was raising my kids and things like that. But I mean, it's something that if you can teach yourself this and teach your children and grandchildren how to begin to learn to trust your gut, you're talking about breakthroughs, getting rid of generational curses, all kinds of stuff, because your gut's not going to send you wrong. But we have to learn to start trusting it just by practicing and actually doing it. And it's one thing, also the last thing, it's one thing to have an intention or to have an idea that you want to explore and your gut's telling you to do it. It's another thing to be obedient and then actually implement it. I think it's all about implementation. We hear it, but we're afraid to do it, or we ignore it, or we rationalize it and we don't do it, and we miss our breakthrough or our blessing as a result.
Yes, and I'm so glad you said teaching, Lynnis, because there actually is a way to teach yourself. One of my favorite tools that I've used with my clients is called the body compass. And so when we talk about trusting our gut, there is a lot of information actually in the gut.
Yes.
But I teach my clients how to listen to your whole body, because your gut might be in your back, or your gut might be in your shoulders, or your gut might be in your head, And so I take my clients through a process, starting grounding yourself and starting with your feet and going all the way through the different parts of your body, so that you get familiar with and you are able to access what information your body is giving you. Because as all of us know, our brains, I tell my clients, your brains are tricky. Our brains are tricky because our brains carry a lot of external information. And so internal and external information is held in our brains. And our brains want to protect us, and so that's where you get a lot of the external messaging to do this or do that, and to not trust yourself comes from the brain. But when you pay attention to your body never lies, and so that's where the truth comes from, and learning how to marry the two together for your benefit. That is the key, and it's just So when something happens and you learn how to listen to that body messaging. And so either your body will light up or feel lighter or glow or whatever, or if it's not the right path, even when if your brain may be saying yes, and your body, your stomach starts feeling yucky, or your chest starts feeling heavy, or your back goes out on you. This is information for you, and we ignore it until we learn, like you said, Lynnis, until we learn how to teach ourselves how to trust it and pay attention to it.
Yeah, and I just want to say, we said so many things. I want to just recap for our listeners, because there's a lot of information here. First of all, we all have that, you can call it sixth sense, you can call it intuition, we all have it. And I remember as a much younger woman, I used to always say, well, why don't I have it? Why don't I have it? And the thing that was missing was the one point that Lynnis made, was the sitting still.
Yes.
So you got to get comfortable. All of us have to become very, very comfortable in our own space, in our own skin, silent. Because this body is telling you so much information. See, Renee, you were saying about I call it the body scan. You got to know what your feet are saying, what your legs are saying. This whole body is communicating truth to us, right? Because the mind, like it says, it's tricky sometimes because it's telling you the logical thing to do. Yeah. So you really want to listen. And logical doesn't mean the right thing for you.
Right.
It just means logical when looking at external situations. Maybe your neighbor's situation or what you heard on the news may not be the best thing for you. So listening to your gut is a personal, internal decision, and getting silent and spending alone time with yourself is so very important. Slowing yourself down. I like to use this example in my mind. I don't know if you guys remember that movie, The Matrix.
Yes.
When things are going in really slow motion. And in my mind, when I know I need to make a decision about something, or I'm getting a feeling, and for me, it really is in my gut area. I feel it, but my head is not there. I try to slow the situation down and just let my gut reveal to me. And sometimes it doesn't give me the full picture. And you got to trust yourself and just say, you know what? This is right now, even if nobody else agrees. So I want to just make sure that we understand that you got to be listening to you. You have to be silent to do that. And your body does not lie. It gives you triggers. If you're getting a sick headache, I hear women say, I got a sick headache, then something about this environment is not okay for you. And you do not need someone else to validate that for you.
And you can turtle step. You don't have to take some big grand leap. Turtle step to test it, And if the path clears, take another step. If you may have to be correct, but you are continuously listening, paying attention, checking in with yourself. Yes.
And I want to give you guys another tip about this too, how we get trapped into not listening to our intuition. How many of us have heard this phrase? I want you to do something outside your comfort zone. Right? We hear that a lot, right? And I think, at least I'll speak for my own self and people who I've talked with, we misinterpret that to mean that horrible gut feeling or that body scan that you get, you should get that. When you're, no. Outside of your comfort zone means that I want you to stretch yourself in a way that feels good, in a way that it may not be easy. You may have never done it before, but there's some part of you that says, yes, this is what I need. I'm scared. I never did it before. That's not the same as you getting a knot in your stomach, you're getting a sick headache, or your back tightening up, or you can't breathe. Those are two different experiences. That stepping outside of your comfort zone does not mean stepping onto somebody else's path.
That's right.
You gotta stepping out of your comfort zone means maybe you're meant to be a seamstress and you're scared to go talk to clients. Well, in order to be successful as a seamstress, you're gonna need some clients. So you're still on your path, but you got to do some things that you got to learn, some techniques to do. It doesn't mean I want to be a seamstress. I'm really good at science. I should go become a neurosurgeon because that's outside of my comfort zone. It's not a bad thing to do, but is that your path?
Yeah.
Is that path where you need to be? So I think trusting yourself is it's a journey that I went through personally for many, many years, learning to listen to Dravon, learning to trust Dravon. And I came to a point in my own life where I realized that nobody knows Dravon better than Dravon, or they shouldn't, right? Because I came in with her, I'm leaving with her. right? So no one, right, no one should know me better than I know me, and if they do, shame on me.
Yes.
Spend some
I
time
find
with yourself.
We don't have to explain. You know,
Right.
I try to operate. I think I'm up to maybe 99% operating intuitively now. And some decisions I will change on a dime. And I can't explain it to you. I can make up something to make you feel good about it, but I'm letting that go too. It's like, no, I've changed my mind. That's good enough. Because I know that even though I may not be able to articulate the reason why, I can trust the reason why.
Oh, I love that. No, I changed my mind.
You know, it's interesting too, because I think a lot of times what really gets in the way of us acting on our intuition or on that inner voice, our gut feeling, is fear. And what is fear? You know, the famous acronym, false expectations appearing real.
Yeah.
Many times our fear is all wrapped up in something that's not even real. Many times, even psychologists will tell you, your feelings are a conglomeration of a lot of things that aren't necessarily true. I had an experience with a friend of mine who wanted to deliver some news. And she said before she told me her hands were clammy, she couldn't breathe, she was going through all of this stuff. And later on, after she told me, and a couple of weeks later, we're talking everything, and you know, what she told me actually didn't even need to be communicated because it turned out not to be an issue. And she said, you know, my body was trying to tell me that maybe I need to stop and think a minute, because why was I reacting this way? Clammy hands, headache, all this stuff. Why was that happening? Because that wasn't really the message she ultimately wanted to convey. But her feelings were telling, I got to get this out. I got to tell her right now, blah, blah, blah. And so she did. And so we went through this whole thing that we didn't necessarily have to go to if she had initially, you know, trusted the signals of her body and saying, this is outside my comfort zone, but not in a good way. You know, how, because operating outside your comfort zone, that's great. But if it's going to yield you positive results. If you're operating outside your comfort zone, but you know the end result might be uncomfortable or cause concern or issues, perhaps that's not the comfort zone that you want to operate outside of right away. Maybe there's something else going on that you need to stop and think about. This is really interesting because I just came back from a manifestation journaling class. And it's a combination of journaling in terms of what is it you want to do and using artwork to manifest. And one thing that everybody talked about was how impactful journaling was in terms of helping them work out their thoughts and learning how to be silent, even before they communicated things or did certain things, because it helped them to see things in writing. And they read it like, whoa, I don't think I want to do it that way. You know, so it gives you time to stop and be still and reflect and have that conversation that you need to have with yourself besides what's going on in your head.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we're saying, and it's so true, what everyone has said about this mind-body connection and how our body doesn't lie to us. But if anyone watching this has experienced trauma in the past and they find themselves in this constant state of fight or flight or have PTSD, it's really hard to get in tune with your body unless you've grounded yourself. And I know that Renee was talking about being grounded and being able to feel your feet. So can we all share like a quick grounding exercise that we might use? I know personally, for myself and for my clients, when somebody is in their head or out of their body because of past trauma or something's come up and they're reacting with stress and panic, I ask them to just imagine that a pair of really heavy red boots are on their feet and it's just sinking into the ground. And just feel those heavy boots at the bottom of your feet. And that's one way, even as I'm saying that, you can feel the weight at your feet. That's one way to ground yourself. A lot of times when we're in this hyper-vigilant state, where we're in our mind, and our mind is spinning, or we're outside of our body, it's simply because we're trying to protect ourselves from feeling. But the truth is, it's safe to feel, and it's safe to sit in your body. Your body's always going to be safe for you and try to protect you, regardless of what's happened in the past.
I think that's an important statement to say one more time, because so often we suppress our feelings. It is safe to feel.
We must.
Glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
So that means to not feel, to suppress yourself. And I'm big on acknowledging what you are feeling right now, whether it's politically correct or not, right? We have to acknowledge and be truthful with ourselves about what we are currently feeling.
Yes.
You want to validate those feelings.
Yes.
Whether they seem irrational to everybody else or not, you need to validate that. I had experience earlier like that. Yeah, you need to go ahead and get it out and let yourself feel that thing, because I know one of the reasons why I suffered from anxiety for so long is I wouldn't allow myself to feel it. I just kept pushing it back, doing whatever else I could do to keep from having that feeling, till eventually my emotional closet was so full of my pushing it back that when I would wake up first thing in the morning, it would feel like I was going straight downhill in a roller coaster with no restraints. That is the worst feeling in the world, the worst feeling.
We're delusional. We cannot control that. We think we are, but that suppressing that you think you're doing, that controlling of feelings, they are in you and they are coming out in some shape.
That's right.
Yeah, and they literally will rob you of your healthy body.
Exactly.
So your peace of mind, right? The anxiety, your peace of mind, and your healthy body. So we've got to know that phrase. I love it. It is safe to feel.
Yeah.
Right. It's safe to feel. And you asked, like, what are some of the things that you do to ground? I do, as much as possible, try to feel my feet on the earth. When I start, I'm a nature person, so I like to be in nature. And then I do just concentrate on my breathing.
Yes.
And I remind
belly breathing.
And I do a simple breathing technique that I think anybody can do. I learned it somewhere years and years ago, and I know there are a lot of complicated breathing techniques, but this one is so simple that sometimes when you get revved up, you can't remember a lot of things. At least I can't. And it's just taking your tongue, putting it at the roof of your mouth behind your top front teeth, and breathing in slowly. I usually do it to the count of 4. I hold to the count of 4. I exhale to the count of 4. It's just 4. And then I can increase the number if I need to, but it takes my attention and puts it internal. And I want to go back to Keisha's phrase, it's safe to feel. And you are there in that space. And when you're there, I find that I am validating myself. I'm validating myself. And my body and my mind reward me by calming down, and my intuition or that gut feeling becomes clear. Right? And it's all about our self-love. It's so important. Trusting yourself is an act of self-love.
It is. And sometimes those feelings that we don't want to feel are feelings of anger or sadness, which is trusting your gut. If something's making you incredibly sad or even angry, then it's probably not the something for you.
Right.
How about that? How about that? We've been soldiering through so many different things, haven't we? We can soldier through, right? We're at a different season of life, many of us. And I think we can reach back and tell our younger counterparts that I want you to replace soldiering through with listening to you.
Oh, I love that. Listening to you.
Right? I want you to do that, because I know that where this journey will take you, when your action becomes listening to you, will be where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, at that point in our lives, we should be past what I call the hair on fire moments. You know, it's very appropriate for us to be in our hair on fire moments when we're in our 20s or maybe in our 30s. But when we get into our 40s, 50s, 60s, you begin to get a frame of reference. Not everything requires a, you know, some of it is like, okay, well, you know what, and you're mentioning grounding. Some of the things I do with grounding is belly breathing, but I do a lot with visualization. I like to go to that place that I've created in my mind that gives me a sense of calm, where I can just kind of go and stop and then hopefully be able to actually think once I come back from that place. Because sometimes, you know, we're so in it but the thing about it is you can be so in it, but you also have the control to stop being in it. You can pull yourself out. You really can. You don't have to go down that road.
We got a question from Tanya Lynette. Thank you, Tanya, for your wonderful question. It says, what if it's something you can't help? Now, the it is what?
What's the it, Tanya?
What's the it?
Is it the panic that you're feeling, or
the panic, or the emotions, or the feelings? Yeah, we'll wait for her to.
wait for you?
We'll just give her a moment to respond to that because we want to respond accurately. But is what if it is something that you can't help? And I just want to speak to that feeling helplessness for a quick moment too. That is something that I think all of us have experienced at some point in time. We do feel like we don't know the answer, and we are helpless. So I don't know if that exactly deals with what Ms. Tanya was talking about, but I want to speak to that for 1 second too. This being afraid to so-called fail. There is no such thing as failure. I think we said this on previous programs. There is no such thing as failure. Everything, especially those things that don't turn out the way you thought they should have turned out, those things are purposeful in our lives because they help us to grow. We grow, believe it or not. A seed can only grow in the soil, right? So we grow in the valley. On the hilltop of our life, we celebrate. But we do have, and we celebrate, and then we go back and grow. I am referencing to loss.
Oh, yes. That's a journey. Loss of a loved one, of a parent, if I'm thinking if it's loss, or maybe even loss of a home or a job. That is a journey. And one thing I've learned about loss is that you can't rush the process. You have to understand that it is a process, and it takes a myriad of tools for you to get through that. You know, your friends, your counselor if you have one, your journaling, exercise, getting back to nature. There's so many different things that can help you with that. But I think the first thing in dealing with loss is allow yourself to take that journey, to have those feelings and to go through that process.
Very individual. That's the other thing that we think there's, that the 5 stages of grief.
It's not cookie cutter.
That's not linear. And it's very individual, very individual. And so when people get impatient with your journey, to be able to trust yourself enough to know that you do this the way you need to do it. Of course, you don't get stuck in anything forever. And so, yes, you may need counseling, support groups, that type of thing, but it's not going to look like anybody else. It's your journey and how you deal with
whatever you think you need, regardless of what somebody else might be talking about. I just did an interview on my show, The Wellness Journey, with a woman who lost her daughter, her only daughter, through gun violence, random shooting, 22-year-old with a 2-year-old son dead, just like that. And she talked about her stages of grief. And now it's already taken her down to the point where she's written a book about it. And now she's, talking about the book. But it was a 5-year process for her. But one of the things that she said was during that 5-year process, and of course she was very, very angry for a while and very hurt and everything else. But after she got past some of that, which, was a while, she began to start looking for signs that God was sending her on what to do next. Her intuition, her gut. She started doing things based upon what her intuition was telling her, and not just what was going on outside her head or what people were telling her. If it felt right for her to do it, then she did it. And sometimes she gets some noise from folks. Why are you doing that? You know what? This is what I need. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's how she got through it.
Yeah, and I want to just put in this word, and we have another question.
Yeah.
But I want to just also say too that I firmly believe too that if loss is something if we're talking about death, it impacts us, our total being, that a lot of times it is necessary to get some support along the process, not to rush the process, but so that you don't linger longer than you need to, not to diminish the impact, but for your own total body healing. So I really am a strong proponent of prayer and therapy, mixing it up, a proper diet. I think somebody said that, Lynnis said that a diet is so impactful, especially being able to put on that suit of armor during that time period. And we have another question from Lillian Rose, says, I am 66-year-old and I feel stuck in my journey. I get Social Security, but I have so much life to live. You absolutely do. Hooray for you, girlfriend, for recognizing that and putting that up, that you have so much to live for. Absolutely. And so let's not waste one moment. Let's start living.
That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely the best time for you to listen to yourself, because you've got 66 years of experience that is just waiting for you to access it. Waiting for you to access it. And another thing I want to address is the fear aspect of this, because it is very scary to start trusting yourself. And, you know, there's a word fearless, which I don't, you know, we take that definition to mean we don't fear. I take it literally. Fear less.
Less. Me too.
Little less, enough to take a step, enough to make a move. You know, you don't have to wait until you don't feel fear.
That's
to trust yourself or to step out on faith and trusting yourself. Just a little bit less. Just, you know, give yourself that opportunity to just take a step. Step and pray, pray and step. You know, if you're not a prayer, whatever, you know, whatever your faith practice is, to allow yourself to just step out there. So to this woman who is 66 years old, oh my gosh, I am so sure that there is so much that you have to access that is speaking to you right now in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And you need to let that come up, write it down so you can see it and visualize it. You know, the grounding practice that I referenced, the body compass, is about connecting to the information that your body is sharing with you so that you do know what steps to take. You do know what decisions to make. And so that process is, you know, getting, you know, one of the, what I take you through is you think about a good, happy memory and you pay attention to how your body is feeling. You think about a bad memory that was upsetting to you. You pay attention to how that impacts your body. And so then, because we're moving so fast, we don't even know what our body's trying to tell us because we haven't gotten still long enough, like we said, to pay attention and to recognize. And so you ground yourself by sitting and getting your feet on the floor and taking yourself through your body and paying attention to what's happening in your body. It's not just biological. It's emotional. You know, it's physical. It's, you know, it's a whole complex combination of things that are there to help.
I also wanted to speak to the comment where you said, I get Social Security, but I have so much life to live. Social Security is just a stream of income. It doesn't define who you are or how much more of your life you can live any more than a job. Define who you are, and how much you could live. So that belief, examine where that belief came from, because it doesn't have to be your belief. The fact that you get Social Security or the fact that you get $1 million check, it doesn't define who you are.
Right.
And I wanted to say also, you want to cancel that spirit of lack, that feeling that it's not enough, because that begins that spiral downward, and then it really does not become enough. Instead, saying that, you know, I'm generating enough to meet my needs and then some. Begin declaring it. And I wanted to say something else in terms of trusting your gut. I was reading something from a psychotherapist who's been practicing for 25 years, and she said she has yet to hear a client tell her, you know, I trusted my gut and now I'm miserable.
Right.
It's more.
I love it.
It's more instead, I didn't trust my gut and now I'm miserable. So if we learn to trust our gut, that's the first step towards really entering into a life of more joy. And as Dr. Dravon James says, everyday peace. Because trusting that esoteric part of you that's been given to you, I believe, by God, your internal GPS, your internal compass, which is going to direct you to where you need to go. So for the lady who is talking about being on Social Security, I think definitely it's just a number. It doesn't define you. But within your gut are some answers there in terms of the things that you have available within you that you can do to create those other streams if that's what you want to do.
And I think this has been a wonderful discussion, ladies. We are coming up on the end of our program and our talk, and so that we are timely with everybody's time. And we thank our viewers so very much for being here. I don't want to leave this. Oh, so we lost Keisha. Hopefully she'll be right back on. She'll be right back, hopefully. So what I want to do is first tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about what's going on and where they can catch us really, really soon. We are beginning a tour that kicks off in Sacramento, California on January 28th. We're all from different regions of the country, but we'll be in Sacramento, California on January 28th. And that's the first stop of the Self-Love Explosion Tour. And so if you happen to be in the Sacramento area or know someone who's going to be there, we're going to be giving you more details as they become available.
The 26th.
Did I say 28th? I'm sorry, 26th. I heard myself say 28th. I apologize. Let me get that straight. January 26th, that's a Saturday, not a Monday. That's a Saturday, and we're going to be in the Sacramento, California area. So we're super excited to be getting this wonderful tour. It is a master class for which we're going to go over lots of things we want to hopefully be in your city soon. So you can check us out there. We want to start something at the end of our program, which is called the Kudos Corner, where we take a quick moment and tell you just a little bit about what we're doing and, you know, I guess highlights of what we did this week or the past week so that we can inspire you all to share with us. This is a tribe and a community. We are going to impact the world for good, one woman at a time. And we're starting with this tribe right here on Facebook Live. So any lady that would like to go first, tell us a highlight from your week.
I'll tell you mine. So this just happened today, and it's so connected to the topic of this show because this is a client of mine who followed her spirit and has started a foundation in honor of her mom. And I came across some information that about a class that she could take. It was a free class at the library about starting nonprofits. And she's already started this foundation. So my first thought was, well, this is probably too elementary for her. She probably wouldn't be interested. But I followed my first right mind to send it to her, and I did. And she called me today so excited because she thought the same thing. And maybe I don't need to go to this. It's probably a lot of stuff I already know. But she went, and she said it was a lot of stuff that she already know, but knew at the end, they came with this opportunity about the executive level piece of it. That was something that she did not know about. And she is so excited about that upcoming training and the people that she's going to meet and who she's connected to. And she said, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And so, you know, and I said, good for you that you went ahead and you know, you allowed yourself to go and have that experience. So yes, as we are talking about trusting your gut, you know, I had to trust mine that yes, this may be something that she would be interested in, and she trusted hers to go. And so that's what I'm saying, you know, things that don't seem necessarily logical or make sense, but we follow that internal guiding and we don't take ourselves out of something, you know, it can end up, you know, even something that may not seem that big can lead to something. So excited about that.
Right. And Lynnis, you want to share?
Yeah, you know, I've had, wow, this has been a great week, a great last few days of 2018. But I think the thing that I'm most excited about is that my book is coming out in February, and it's a collaborative book with 13 other wonderful women. It's called Power Up Superwoman, and I just got asked to write the back cover, which I'm really excited about. You know, I never considered myself to be a writer, but you know, you should never sell yourself short when it comes to your skills, gifts, talents, and abilities that you know God has placed within you. You are who you are, and I had to say, okay, I am a good writer. I said, wow, but he's got this validation because he said, wow, I want you to write the back cover of the book. And I was like, okay, that's fantastic. And the other wonderful thing is that I got a chance to bring the new year in this year in church, which is, I haven't done that in a while. I used to do it all the time. In the last couple of years, just hadn't done it. But for some reason, I felt the need to do it. And the thing that was so lovely about it is that we got a chance to sit with some other couples. It's so hard for my husband and I to find married couples to hang out with. So we're going to have to travel to where you are, Dravon, and where you are, Renee, just so we can hang out.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
find them. So that was really nice to be able to bring in the new year with other married couples. I know it seems like a small thing, but these days, and it made me realize how blessed I was that, through the good and the bad, made it through. So that's my kudo corner.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So my kudo corner is this, and I think it is so in line with the Self-Love Explosion Tour, because I took time over the holidays, specifically over the New Year's Eve, to self-love on myself. I run a business. I work a full-time job. I got 2 kids, and I'm married. And sometimes my days, I was telling you before we got in the program, they start at 4 a.m. in the morning, and sometimes they don't end till like midnight. Yeah. And so I got up on, I think it was Monday, or was it Tuesday, New Year's Eve, Tuesday, New Year's Day. And I got up and I just self-loved all over me. Read a wonderful novel that I was looking to read. Of course, it was training, but that was okay. But it just was a great experience, that act of self-love. And so for everything that I do produce on the external, it was me taking care of the internal. It was amazing. And I encourage every woman. I wish I did it more often. I did it Tuesday, and I said to myself, and why don't we do this more often? Right, because we only can give. And I know this. We only can give the overflow. You got
to pour back into yourself. Right. And there's something else too that kind of goes with that in self-love and self-care. I went through this exercise. We talked about it at our last meeting, ladies, about the burning bowl. I did the burning bowl.
We did it in my house. It was amazing.
It was amazing. The burning bowl is when you write down on paper all the things you want to release, all the negative things, all the unforgiveness, all the hurt, all the mean people. You just write it all down on a sheet of paper, and then you read it out loud. You take it and you tear it up, okay? You put it in the bowl, and this is my favorite part. You set that baby on fire.
We did that.
Yeah, and you watch it burn, and as it's burning, it's disappearing. You're seeing the smoke. It's just going in the smoke. It just doesn't exist anymore. And then you reconfirm that by a prayer of affirmation, saying that you're releasing it to God. You're not taking it back. You just kind of seal the deal. That felt so good. And one of my girlfriends who did it said she actually felt lighter. She felt like she lost weight as a result of getting rid of all that gunk. And she just felt
heavy. That burden is heavy. And so
let it go.
Right. So we're over time. So we're gonna close out, but I do want to just say we lost Keisha. I was trying to get her a chance to come back. But we thank you all for being here with us this evening. We look forward to seeing some of you in Sacramento, California on January 26th for the very first Self-Love Explosion Tour. Super, super excited about that. But before that, we'll be back here next Thursday.
Next Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Oh, and 7 o'clock Central. Is that right, Renee?
That's right.
We got it. So we are your tribe. We would love to hear from you. Thank you for the ladies who were sharing with us today through your questions. Please give us show ideas, things you want to talk about. There is nothing off limits.
Yes, share it with
There's nothing off limits.
And you know what? I'm not in my office, so I don't have my calendar in front of me, because we have a plan for next week. Do you remember what we're talking about next week, ladies?
I have it, but it's not on my.
I know it's written on my calendar. My calendar is like 30 miles away, so.
I know, Keisha, because you are De-Stress the Mess the third.
Is it De-Stress the Mess next week?
No, I think that's third. It's Keisha. Okay. It's a great show next week. It's a great show. And I see Keisha there, so maybe she'll type it in.
Yeah, I think it's about.
Oh, and please don't forget to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. We're just a few minutes away from getting that 100 that we need to personalize the channel. Go to bit.ly/Living Well Women. Living Well Women on YouTube. Subscribe. Okay?
So I know it's about money next week.
Yes, it's about money.
It's about money.
Okay, manifestation and abundance, Keisha says.
Manifestation and abundance. You want to be there, get all your girlfriends there, get your cousins and your sisters. We're talking about making that money. and
Yes,
have to do it from a place that feels good.
absolutely. Let me tell you, just by listening to Keisha, you're going to start hearing some ka-ching in your wallet because that's how powerful she is. So definitely you need to make sure you tune in next Thursday.
So until next Thursdays, ladies, create a peaceful environment for you. Don't wait for somebody else to do it.
Trust your gut. Listen to
Trust
that.
your
Yes.
Trust your
And
gut.
be well. Be well in your mind, body, and spirit. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Living Well Women. Join us next time when we will discuss other topics of holistic living. Nothing is off limits when it comes to sisters supporting sisters. Please subscribe to our YouTube page by clicking the link below so you can stay updated on all the details when it comes to being a holistic living well sister.